is. Haley, is everyone, I'm assuming everyone's back to school. Are you back to school? Are you done with school? Are you going back to school ever? What's your back to school feel like right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't have any current plans to go back to school. When I finished college, I was like, never doing that
Right,
again. Like,
right.
that was a lot. But now I'm like, oh, it could be fun. I don't know. So, no current plans, but excited to. I always love the back to school going into fall. It just feels so cozy.
But doesn't it feel different? Like for me, now that I'm not teaching, it
Yeah.
it almost, I don't know, I have a little bit of FOMO, like to not be on the campus, to
Oh,
not I don't want anyone calling me, like, I don't wanna go back to teaching right now, but
yeah.
I do, like, miss that back to school. I watched my husband, he went last night to, like, a back to
Yeah.
school event at
Oh,
their school, and
yeah.
so much fun. I love this season.
Yes, I know it is fun. My roommate's a teacher, so she's doing the same thing, and I'm like, "Oh, it does sound kind of fun."
Yeah, and it goes by so quickly. I know it's going to be Thanksgiving before I know it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so true.
Summer went by
Yeah.
so fast.
I know. I agree. It
I
was
feel
so
like
quick.
as I've gotten older, my life just goes faster. When I was younger, it felt like a month would feel like a really long time, and now
Yeah.
nothing feels like a lot. Everything feels like a moment.
That's so true. I feel like each year feels faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about parenting teens.
Ooh. I love doing ones. Well, I guess my daughter is 13, so technically she's a
Yeah.
teen. I
Yeah.
just don't think of I try not to
Yeah.
like give too much counselor advice on a phase of parenting I haven't gone through.
That's fair, yeah.
So I'm excited that who's the guest that we're having today?
Today we're bringing on Courtney.
Oh, okay. So I'm super excited. Oh, yes. I am so excited to talk to Courtney. She is super fascinating. But before we do that, can we jump into the group chat?
Ooh, yes, we should do that.
Okay, remember, if you want to send your submission to the group chat, send it to Haley at whatifimwrongpod@gmail.com. You can send her a voice memo or a written submission. And these submissions are where we look at, any real life friendship dynamic, relational dynamic, family dynamic, romantic dynamic. I think that's what we have today, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like a blend, actually. Romantic
yeah,
relationship, friendship
yeah.
dynamic. And then we'll process it like you would if you sent that to the group chat and asked, hey guys, what are your thoughts? Should I do XYZ? That's exactly what this segment is. So without further ado, let's enter the group chat.
I, 24 female, have been best friends with this guy, 25 male, since childhood. He's been my go to person for everything late night talks, random road trips, even crying over my ex.
Hmm.
We've never crossed any lines, and our friendship has always felt safe and steady. But somewhere along the way, I fell for him. It wasn't some big moment. I just started noticing the little things. The way he remembers how I take my coffee, the way he always checks to make sure I got home safe, the way he makes me laugh when I don't even feel like smiling. And now it's like every time I see him, my heart knows something my mouth won't say.
Hmm.
I want to tell him, I really do, but I'm terrified it'll ruin what we have. What if he doesn't feel the same? What if it gets weird and we drift apart? He means so much to me, and I don't want to lose him over a one sided crush. But keeping it in is starting to hurt too. I feel stuck between risking the friendship or pretending my feelings don't exist. What would you guys do?
So what would I do? I can't keep a secret about myself. I can't
Yeah,
keep a secret to save my life.
yeah.
I have never like had a crush on somebody and not said something. I
Like to
just
the person or to like
too
friends?
straight to the person and to
Oh,
their friends,
bold.
and always like I would love to know what this is like to like have this little secret in yourself and just say, "Oh, nobody knows except me." That is just I am like bleh. Everything that I'm thinking comes out. Not with I am very good, and this is like an intentional thing about keeping other people's secrets.
Okay. Yep.
So
But for
just
yourself.
feel safe. Anybody listening, if you have told me something, I won't tell my husband. If
Wow.
somebody says, Heather, I don't want you to tell another person,
Yeah.
I view it as like a sacred
Yeah.
God thing where I'm like, no, I'm going to
Yes.
keep this person's
Yeah.
intimate information safe. So anyway, that my personality, when you said, what would you guys do? Well, Heather 15 years ago would have already had that conversation. But first of all, thank you for trusting us, friend, with something so vulnerable about yourself.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. And maybe this is why I'm just like, hey, if you see something, say something. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
All relationships come with risk. That is literally what it means to be in a relationship with anybody other than yourself. Is
Yeah.
now I am risking this person could hurt me. I can't control another person. I can't control how they respond to a situation or a circumstance. You can only, this is what we say in communication. You can only control yourself. So to be in a friendship or a romantic relationship or even in a family is to open yourself up to the risk of being hurt by that relationship. There's no way around it. So you are
Yeah.
right. There's no guarantee he feels the same. You're absolutely right. This is a risk. But it does sound like there's already emotional intimacy between you. It sounds like that. You just haven't maybe vocalized it to one another. But I would suggest that just because you haven't vocalized something doesn't mean you aren't revealing something. Unspoken feelings have a way of leaking out in your tone, in your eyes, in your
Ooh.
body language, in how quickly you make yourself available to someone when they call you. I think it is safe to assume that this person has some ideas of how you feel. And so you bringing something up more intentionally is probably not going to be as huge of a shock as you think it's going to be. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong. At the end of the day, you just have to decide if the risk is worth the possible reward. And only you can know that. This isn't an answer I think somebody else can give you. You're going to have to decide for yourself. But listen, be kind to yourself. Living your life in that vulnerable space of authenticity is brave. And you should be proud of yourself no matter what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough spot. I've had like, little crushes on friends in a friend group or whatever, and I've never said anything because of the risk. Yeah, I mean, none of it has been like anything serious. So maybe it'd be different if I was like, oh, I'm like madly in love with this person.
Okay, wait, hold on, pause. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. You have liked somebody. And I'm saying, like she said, we're like going on drives at night and I'm crying to him. And you have like a close relationship with somebody and you've had a crush on them and you don't tell them.
Well, I think it's a very different situation. I'm thinking of like in friend groups, like not hanging out one-on-one.
One-on-one. Okay, you're saying in a group.
In a group. So it's
let me
different.
ask you, could you keep that secret if you were like, if you guys actually sit and talk on the phone and like go to restaurants together and do all this stuff, would your personality be able to not say I'm into you if you were into them?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
because
you would be able to keep a secret?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I would tell my friends, but I don't think I would tell the person because I don't know. I think it's very dependent on the situation.
Sure.
But if it was like, especially if it was in someone in my church, like that close-knit community. I mean, our church is really small, so that'd be, a different situation. But I think I'd be too scared. I'm not that bold.
Wow.
I think I'm too scared. But this girl, like, this is totally different because this sounds like... This isn't like some like little crush, this girl is like, she's grown up with this guy. She knows him. I think that's where it's different. If I like knew this guy and was best friends with this guy, I think that would be a lot harder than just some little like, oh, I don't know. Like, I kind of know you. I think you're cute, whatever. This is like, oh, she knows him. She's in love with him. So I think that's a whole different story. And so I don't know, I think she has to decide like what is more painful in the long run, like telling him and risking change, maybe rejection, awkwardness, or never saying anything and just always wondering what if.
I had a guy most of my high school who I had a big crush on, but it wasn't like I said, it's not a secret because I will.
So you told him?
I don't remember if I was like, I like you, but it was not a secret. He would have known.
He would
And
have
we were
known.
like this, actually very much like this submission where I remember like at Christmas, he would be like, "Hey, let's go look at Christmas lights together." And when I was trying to get my driver's
Oh,
license, he went and stole construction cones and put them in a parking
stop.
lot for me and like taught me how to park. We were so close. And he would like, he would always date like everybody but me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it like just broke. I always just felt like, oh, why doesn't he like me? And then my
Yeah.
freshman year of college, and I like just, worshiped the ground he walked on. My freshman year of college, he called me because I went away to school and
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to dinner?" And so we went to dinner and then he was like, "I messed up. Like I I am like I realize now I should have dated you and I love you and not only like do I want to date you, like I think we're supposed to get married. Like you
What?
are my soulmate and I'm so sorry that I did that to you all these years." And for me at that point, all of a sudden, because now we went to college and I met all these
Yeah.
new people, I was like, wow, I don't feel like this at all anymore. Like I am, you should have
Whoa.
said something in high school and I would have, but now it's like, and do you know what? This is the
Mm.
truth, which is so fascinating because from that day, so this person would call me every single year on my birthday and say happy birthday because my birthday is on New Year's Day. So
Yeah.
every year on New Year's Eve, as soon as it hit midnight, for I mean all of my childhood through
Yeah.
high school, this person would call me and say happy birthday. And so right after I said, "Oh, I don't feel that way about you," that New Year's Eve, it was my birthday, and he didn't call. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I remember this is the last conversation I ever had with this person. I called him and I was like, "Hey, are you forgetting something?" And he was like, he goes, "Huh?" And I'm like, "Are you forgetting something? It's my birthday. You always call me." He goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot." And I was like, "Oh." And it was kind of awkward and silent. And then
Oh.
this is the last words he said to me. He goes, "I didn't forget. I just didn't call." And he hung up.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is the last conversation I have had with that man to this day. And so then I realized, like,
Whoa.
wow, I was your friend all those years and you didn't like me and you dated my friends. And I just like grinned and bared it. And you tell me you like me one time and
Yeah.
and now the friendship's over.
Wow. That's crazy.
We should do a whole episode on like guy and girl friendships.
We should. I find those so
I
interesting.
think it can be very fascinating because I will say, my dad always says guys and girls aren't friends. And I was like, we're friends. But then the second he dropped me, like, so
That's
the second he
crazy.
liked me and I didn't like
Yeah.
him, then we weren't friends.
Yeah. It is, yeah, guy and girl relationships are interesting, but I can say, I don't know. I know everyone has different opinions, but I have a
Yes.
good guy friend and like we've joked about it. We're like, "No, we are just friends." Like we would never like each other. And I just think it's so refreshing cuz it's like, "Oh, we know there's no fear or risk." It's like, "Oh, we're just friends." You know? But I know that it can be different for
But
everyone.
I want to know like how close. I absolutely agree. Of course, I think this is like a silly thing. Of course, guys and girls could be just
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
But how close are you guys? Like, are you best friends? Because I feel like that's once somebody
Yeah.
becomes like your primary emotional, intimate conversation partner, I
Yeah.
struggle to believe that that doesn't become romantic because that's all
Right.
romantic relationships are.
Yeah, no, it's not that close of a friendship. Like
Just a
close
friend.
friends, but yeah, like yeah, close friends, but not like that, not like these deep intentional one-on-one conversations. Like and it's different too than like right now he has a girlfriend. Great. Like we don't hang out one-on-one, but
Right,
we're still
right.
friends. You know,
Sure,
that doesn't
sure.
change.
I'm
So,
always fascinated because this comes up for some reason on my Instagram, and I promise we'll stop this group chat, but this comes up on my Instagram all the time where it's like guys and girls who are like best friends, and then the
yeah.
caption is like it's like all these cute videos of them doing stuff together, and she's like,
Yeah.
"But we're still just friends." And it's like
Yep.
that's their Instagram shtick. Like they have thousands and thousands of followers of people being like, "You guys," like shipping them, and they're like, "No, we're just friends."
Yes.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting to me.
It is so interesting. And I wonder if like for those type of people, if you're getting views, like then there's pressure on like that
Yeah,
adds a whole nother layer of like overthinking, oh, all these people are actually like shipping us together. Do we try? Do we
yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting.
So, I mean, back to our original submission. It is absolutely possible that it is absolutely true that this is a massive risk.
Yeah.
And Haley maybe would die with the secret. Heather says, no, I'm just going to tell you exactly how I feel. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to decide for yourself. If you want to send us your submission for the group chat, send it to Haley either on Instagram, just send it to her by DM, or send her an email, whatifimwrongpod@gmail.com. Thanks for entering the group chat with us. Okay, before we get to submissions, let's define the term. Remember, for this segment, I am going to tell you a word and its actual definition, and I want you to ask yourself how knowing the actual definition may change how you see your relationship with that word. Today's term is teenager. So let's define the term teenager. According to the dictionary, a teenager is a person aged between 13 and 19. That's it. No mention of mood swings or eye rolls or slam doors or existential crisis, just an age range. But culturally, man, there's so much implicitly in this word teenager. It's almost become a warning label. We brace ourselves and we joke about surviving teenagers, and we treat this stretch of years like something that you just have to get through instead of something to grow through. And I just want you to pause today and ask, what if we're wrong about what it means to parent a teenager? What if this isn't a season of pulling away, but of being invited in? Remember, when a child is born, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. When a child is born, a parent is born too. And so this is a season of growth where you are invited to awkwardly stretch and change and navigate this new stage of life with this person that God has entrusted to you. What if your teen's defiance is actually just there searching for identity? And the words we use about these situations matter. What if their silence isn't distance, but a longing for space to figure out their own thoughts? The word teenager doesn't have to be a red flag, it can be a sacred signal. This is a soul in formation, and they need you, not as the controller of their life, but as the calm presence they can orbit around as they figure out who they are becoming.
I really like the way you put it in the mind shift, because even as someone who doesn't have kids, I've definitely noticed how there's so much like negativity
Yeah.
around teenagers. But and yeah, it just feels like parents talk about it as like this dreaded stage that you have to survive, but honestly, the teens I've been around, they're some of the funniest, like most
Yeah,
honest
totally.
and blunt, insightful people. And I'm not downplaying that can be hard, because I'm sure it is, but I also just love the idea of seeing this season as sacred, and like yes, it's full of change, but it can also just be beautiful and fun.
Hard, holy work, right?
Yes.
We are
Yep.
always being invited to. All right, Haley, let's bring on our guest, Courtney. Okay, I am so excited to talk to our guest today, Courtney Berg. And we found out before we were recording, I don't even think you were logged on yet, Haley, but Courtney and I are like best friends. So we have a mutual friend. I did a conference in North Carolina. And who did I meet, Courtney?
Jamie Smith, worship
Jamie
leader,
Smith. Oh
the
my
most
goodness, you guys.
amazing.
She is awesome. So listen, after this conversation, you're going to find Courtney Berg online, and you're going to find Jamie Smith online, because she is her worship just set the tone of that entire conference. It was such a blessing for me to get to meet her and her daughter. But Courtney Berg is the author of Loyal to a Fault. Okay.
Yes.
Which is a book that so many of us need to read. Haley and I talk about this all the time on the podcast, our issues with like trying to be nice
Yeah.
more than maybe protecting ourselves or our energy or our peace. So Courtney is somebody that you can go to if you're struggling with that. Her book is Loyal to a Fault. It's on boundaries and people pleasing. So you can order that book right now. But she's also working on a book, which is, I think, where some of the submissions that Haley got are coming from today. And that book that she's working on, there's no title yet. So you're going to have to go to her website at Courtney J. Berg, COURTNEY, JBURG.com, so that you can follow her mailing list and get signed up so you can see all the things that she's doing with this book that's going to come out. Here's why I think it's so important. It's on body image. It is to help moms of tweens navigate these difficult conversations on body image. So I am just So happy that you're joining us for this, Courtney. I would not want to go through these submissions, I can tell you that, without you. I would not. I would not want to have this conversation without you sitting right there. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm just excited to talk about this. It's a very passionate topic of mine right now because I have 3 little girls that are growing
Okay.
up and walking through this right in front of me. And so
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
Let's do this before we get to our submissions. Anybody, and maybe nobody's going to say anything and then it's awkward, but did any of us on this call right now struggle with body image growing up?
I know I have.
Okay.
I have. And, I think helping my daughters navigate it has brought up stuff that maybe I didn't realize I was facing. And I think that's really cool how the Lord works in that way. Like he doesn't just want to, guard your daughter's heart from some of the narratives of the world, but he wants to heal some of the lies that you've carried for a long time. And so, yeah, I know for me, I've definitely had seasons, especially having children and after the fact, and certain pressures that we see in the media now of just how women are supposed to look a certain way. And what if I don't? And so, I can look back over the last 2 decades and definitely see where I just haven't been very kind to myself, whether it was just how I ate, how I didn't eat, the way in which I would run to my pantry for comfort or refuge, the way I would just look at myself and not like the way I looked. And so, I've been exploring it more alongside my girls as I see them look at their own bodies changing and having questions and doubts and concerns.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was a kid, I mean, I think for me growing up, I was always super skinny, but like I had a mustache that my dad said was a shadow. That's what he would say when I'd say, they say I have a mustache at school. He'd say, it's not a mustache, it's a shadow. That's just a shadow. It was a mustache. Like I had a full mustache. Like just, I dyed my hair. I dyed my hair with, I think it was like on sale at a Rite Aid. It was Just for Gray Men. I swear to you. And that's what I used to do. Like, I was just so like messy. Okay. I was just a messy little kid. And it makes me laugh because my daughter, and I really think it's because of social media and YouTube. Like I was messy. Okay. With my shadow and my Just for Gray Men hair dye. But I didn't know it really because there was only like 30 kids in my school and there was no social media. So my social comparison was only to the kids in my class. And I even think television back then wasn't the same as it is now as far as the beauty standards. I just think things have really, since social media escalated, because I see my daughter and she's 13 and she's following like Brooke Monk. That's somebody I know she follows online, like really into skincare. Really, she just asked me the other day if she could dye her hair blonder. She's already naturally blonde. Can she dye it blonder? And I was just like, yeah. As I dyed my hair with Just for Gray Men, like all of a sudden I have these standards. I was like, no, you are not going to dye your hair because it damages your hair. Maybe it was also the process that I did. But yeah, it's the pressure I think on kids is so different than it was for me growing up. Just, I mean, I scroll online. I don't know about you guys. And I'm just like, wow, is this what we look like now at 21?
Yeah.
It is. Guys, the prom pictures of these girls, it is like wild. And it's like boys have kind of stayed the same. Boys kind of look the same as they did when I was a kid, but girls are like all Kim Kardashian, like the makeup routines, the skincare routines. I don't know.
Yes.
Am I alone in this, guys? Like, what do you think?
No, and I think you hit a really important intersection that we face now where we were learning as kids, the social learning dynamic was like what we were taught at home and kind of within our peer groups at school. But now there's this other influence that's coming in from complete strangers online. And it's really changing the standard in which our girls and ourselves are comparing our beauty to. And often it's filtered, often it's edited. And that's something that we need to talk about with our girls. And having them understand how to critically think about the media that they're consuming. Because, that girl didn't wake up like that. She
Right.
probably had a trailer of people before that movie set, or,
Right.
she's using
Yeah.
a filter. And my daughters are like, what do you mean? What are hair extensions? Nothing wrong with any of these
Right.
things. But when we are, when it's reshaping our girls' confidence, it's reshaping the way in which they look at themselves. It's something that we definitely need to address head on.
Yeah, and I just think, I promise you guys we're going to get to submissions. But I also I just don't like the idea of girls spending so much time thinking about what they look like. Cuz
Mhm.
I just didn't do that as a, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
I told you, I had my shadow. And I still thought I was so cool. I feel like I developed very important skills of personality that
Mhm.
I think women should be focusing on, right? This
Yeah.
focus on posting a photo.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think it's one of the devil's attacks that he does on women, because women are so effervescent and smart and capable and relational and connection building. Is if he can just keep getting us to focus on ourselves in the mirror, we will miss.
Right. And if we look at the garden too, I mean, it's not a new problem. It's just social media is now amplifying it. And so,
Yes.
when sin entered, Adam and Eve went from communing with God in the garden to looking at themselves. And so I think
Yeah.
it's something that,
Yeah.
when I hear my 8-year-old and my 9-year-old talking about themselves, I don't think that it's a new problem. I think it's a human problem. I think that what we do now, especially as caregivers or moms with these girls, in hopes that they don't struggle for the rest of their life with this, is
Yeah.
getting them off themselves. So to your point, Heather, it's we are being told in our culture to self-express, to self-actualize, self-discovery, and
Yeah.
our goal, I hope, as moms, is to get them not looking at themselves as much, but back to him. I think
Yes.
part of the original design.
Yes. Okay, Haley, let's go.
All
Let's get
right.
to it. What you got?
All right, here's submission number 1. Hi guys, I'm a mom of an 11-year-old girl, and lately she's been standing in front of the mirror picking herself apart, talking about how her thighs are too big or her hair isn't pretty like the other girls at school. She recently asked me if she should start shaving her legs because everyone else is. My heart sank. I try to speak truth over her, remind her that she's made in God's image, that beauty isn't defined by what the world says. But I feel like I'm losing her to these messages she's picking up from social media, friends, and even the shows she watches. How do I help her build real confidence in self-worth, not just affirmations, but rooted in who God says she is? And how do I not let my own body insecurities get passed down to her?
We're going to go to our expert on this
Such a
very
good
heavy question, Courtney.
Such a good question. First of all, I think for that mom, I mean, I just applaud her, because I think half the battle is just an awareness and then a willingness, right? We want to actually come alongside our daughter as she navigates some of these pressures in the culture and even just in her peer groups. And so what I have found to be an important step in this is obviously pointing her back to scripture. I'm all about that. Psalms 139. I mean, she is beautifully and wonderfully made. But what I'm finding in our culture and in the pressure cooker that our girls are in now is it's just not quite landing. It's that superficial layer of oh, honey, God made you perfect. And they're like, right, but she looks perfect on Instagram. I don't. So,
Right.
I don't,
Yeah.
And so I would just encourage moms that are listening that, first of all, we don't have to be alarmed. Staying neutral is so important, because often we want to project our own insecurities. So if we had, an eating disorder, or if we struggle currently with body image issues, we feel as though we are not equipped to help our daughter. And that is just not true. We are not in this alone. And so staying neutral will help defer some of that feeling of, oh my goodness, it's happening to her the same way it happened to me at her age. The other thing I would say is that it's really a natural part of development that girls start to compare and categorize
Yes.
themselves with their youth groups. I mean, this is
Yes.
just normal. So that is a normal developmental process. Again, nothing to be alarmed with. But what I have found to be increasingly more and more powerful in my own home and within some of the women that I've talked to about this is that we have got to become a safe, non judgmental place for our kids to come with questions like this. We say things like, oh, don't say that. Don't be ridiculous. Don't worry about it. But they are worried about it. These are real concerns and questions that they are navigating. They're comparing themselves. They need to figure out who they are as they are maturing. And part of that is figuring out their changing body. And so we want to welcome those questions with neutrality, with no judgment. Because in puberty, girls' body dissatisfaction is already higher. And so becoming a judgment-free and neutral space and a voice that she can trust is really a big part of it. And then I know we kind of touched on this already, but I think it's really important to reiterate is that we've got to be training our girls in media literacy because she is consuming so many images right now, most of which are highly edited and filtered. And so there was actually a study done in the Netherlands where two groups of girls were shown photos of peer-aged girls their age. One was images that were highly edited, like the bodies were completely changed. And then the other one was they were unedited. And the girls that were shown the edited photos, of course, reported having lower body image. They lacked confidence. But this is what I want moms to hear is that they didn't know the images were edited. That is the gap that we have to step into for our girls because, again, they're comparing their beauty with a lie. It's a lie. She didn't wake up that way. There's technology now that is changing the way that we're presenting ourselves online. So we just can't ignore that. So training our girls in media literacy is really, really powerful. For example, one way that I've done that in this last year is like when we're watching a Disney video together, I talk to my girls about the way that the character might look and does she know what that is and what her outfits or her lashes, and we just talk about it neutrally. And I'm informing her so that over time she can make her own informed decisions about, is this media trying to entertain me? Is it selling me something? How am I feeling after I consume it? Critically evaluating the media that they consume will better allow them as they mature when we aren't around as their moms for them to understand, okay, what does that body say? What does that beauty say? Are these unrealistic standards that I'm being held up to? And so I think it's just such an important piece that I hope moms will consider starting with their own daughters.
Yeah. I would just say too, what your daughter sees in you is so important. I mean, just over and over, the research says literally like one of the biggest contributors to a child's happiness is just whether or not their mom was happy. I mean, so much of kids, and this is true of boys and girls, they watch mom. And how does mom emotionally handle various situations? So much of sometimes, yes, I think absolutely we have to have open conversation and open communication. And also keep in mind that they're watching you when you're not saying anything.
Oh, and right? You can't fool
they're
them.
Just they're watching you, mom.
Like the way you complain about your waistline or the way you say, I've got to lose a couple pounds because daddy and I are going on that cruise. Like they pick up those things and they embody them and then they try to live it out in their life. And again, so here's the other thing though, moms don't have to be perfect.
Right.
Some of the hope that I have in my next book is to just, not unload your problems onto your girl, but come alongside her and say, you know what, sometimes I feel insecure about certain things. Again, this is a human condition. It's not just a tween girl condition. It's a human condition for me to find my value and my worth outside of myself. That's a normal tendency. So normalizing that for our daughters. And then, like you said, Heather, showing them, how I work through that tension.
Yeah. We say lately, I've been saying this a lot on here, but just like, I don't remember my parents ever really modeling weakness for me. And so I have been very intentional. And what that did for me, by the way, was made me a perfectionist. And I felt genuinely like any type of failure was the end of the world. I could not fail. I would not do anything if it was even possible that I would fail. And so I've really tried to model for my kids what you just said of, oh, hey, this is making me feel insecure. And here's how I'm navigating.
Yes.
Here's where I feel weak. Oh, mommy failed at this. And guess what? We're still okay. That is so important for our kids. Okay, Haley, do we have one more?
Yeah, let's do
Can we do
more.
it? Let's do one more.
Okay. Hi, friends. My daughter came home from school and said, I don't think I'm good at anything. She didn't make the team, didn't get picked for a group project, and now she's questioning her worth. I told her God made her for a purpose, but she just kind of shrugged and said, that's not enough. How do I help her believe that her worth isn't based on achievements or popularity, but on who she already is in Christ?
Courtney, to you.
Okay. Again, we've touched on this, but the narrative that our girls and we as adult women are hearing time and time again in the 21st century is that our identity is packaged in some form of self-entitlement, individualism, discovery. Like we have to go out and get it. And so often I think because of that, and we see it in our society, that we get swept away by the hustle and the chaos. What team will we be on? What boy likes us? How do we look? What are we going to do in that career? Where are we going to live? What job will we get? And so there's this constant narrative that's perpetuated even in our homes. Parents have to be careful of this too, like this performance standard, right? Achieving standard. There's nothing wrong with trying hard. There's nothing wrong with preparing, but this constant narrative that we must work to chase a goal or to achieve something or to control the outcome, because we believe that once we get that or once we get there, we will then be important or valuable or loved, is just not true. And I've been stuck in cycles of that and seasons of that. I can get swept away. Again, normal, human, okay? But the truth is, we know as believers, we don't have to chase our worth. We know that. We know that every ounce of our worth has already been found on the cross, okay? So we don't have to search for that significance. But how do we help our daughters, like when she doesn't make that team, like that sweet mom? Like, how do we help them when she's feeling left out? I think that it starts with this self-forgetfulness practice. So helping our daughters, again, get off of themselves. Like we're looking at ourselves and we need to look out more. We need to look out more. And so there's so much freedom in reminding our girls that that small thing that they're focused on is not the only thing that matters in life. And we can say it kindly to our girls. But when they get unhooked at consistently looking at themselves, I didn't make the team. He doesn't like me. This, I was left out, whatever. There's so much freedom because Heather, like you said, you've been modeling to your kids that they can try things and fail. Why? Because their identity isn't rooted in that one thing. It's not rooted in making that team. It's not rooted in, getting that A+, even though, yes, grades matter. And so I think reminding our girls that regardless of our own efforts, nothing can change our status as his daughters. And so I try to tell my girls, well, and one of the perspectives that has helped me so much is often I feel like I'm discipling my girls. Like it's my job to help them learn more about Christ. And something happened in the last year where I realized they are my sisters in Christ. They are my sisters in Christ. And so just reminding them, like all we are called to do is to abide in him. To abide in him, to stay close to him. This is where our identity is found. And that is why when we place that pressure on ourselves, that our identity is found here and it doesn't gain what we need, right? We don't get the return on it. We can learn and we can say, you know what? We probably put too much priority on this. We have to remember we're just meant to abide in him and be close to him. And so, I mean, it's a process. It's, I want to encourage listeners too that if you've done it quote unquote wrong up until this point, or you haven't done it at all, you're like, Courtney, I haven't even talked about any of this with my girls. I've been blowing them off because I just thought it was them overreacting about the way they look or being left out. It's not too late to start these conversations. It's not too late to not just tell them, but show them what you feel when you get left out. I mean, a couple months ago, I'll tell you, I'm almost 41. I learned about this party these girls were having, and guess what? I wasn't invited. And it stung a little. It stung a little, okay?
Yeah.
Now, normally moms would hide that from their girls, but I just implore you to, again, not dump that on them, but wisely discern when and how much to talk to them about it and say, you know what? It pinched. It did.
Yeah.
It did. You know, I felt left out, but this is what I did in response to that. This was my behavior and my choices to honor God in that, and show them, don't just lecture them on it. Show them you relying and becoming dependent on Christ over and over again so that one day they learn to do that.
Yes, I absolutely love all of these examples of just modeling. I think modeling is one of the best teachers. Haley, I want to give you a chance. Anything strike you as you're listening to these?
Yeah, no, I think I was just kind of reflecting on growing up for me. I grew up in Orange County, California, where every girl was just like absolutely gorgeous. And it was really interesting when I moved to Colorado. I was like, whoa, I can go to the store in like shorts and a t-shirt. Like I don't have to be like have a whole face of makeup and a dress on. Like it's just crazy. And so I was just kind of thinking about that in my own experience with like I did struggle with like body image and self-worth because you're surrounded by all these girls, and then of course social media adds to that. But it is such a hard time at that age, but I think it's so developmental too.
Colorado, little plug, great state.
It
just is like people are so like everybody just wants to be outdoors. And people are so kind, and they're like just in their Berks. You know what I mean?
Where
like,
are you guys now?
I'm in Texas.
Okay.
Haley's still in Denver though.
I'm in Denver.
See, I'm in South Florida, and I do think it can be regionally felt.
Yes. Totally agree.
But while the demand might not be as apparent in certain areas of the country, it is still fundamentally what our girls can stand on because they are going to move and they are going to go to college and they are going to, date a guy. And, do we want them needing him to tell them over and over? And, so I think that it can impact them for many years to come. So,
yes, absolutely love this conversation. Thank you. This is Courtney Berg. She's the author of Loyal to a Fault. And that book is about boundaries and people pleasing. You can join her mailing list. Go to CourtneyJBerg.com. It will also be in our show notes so you can keep tabs on her work and her writing. Courtney, thank you so, so much for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
I want to close every episode with a segment I call Day in the Bible. And this is where I share something I have learned in Bible study with you that will beg the question, what if I'm wrong about how I have been reading or thinking or explaining this Bible passage? In Luke 15, Jesus tells 3 parables. He tells the parable of the lost sheep, the parable of the lost coin, and the parable of the prodigal son. There is so much to say about these parables, but honestly, we could do an entire segment or episode just going through these parables. But I want to focus today on the son who walks away and the prodigal son. So in the parable, the son demands his inheritance early, essentially saying, I'm not going to wait until you die. I am done with this family. Give me the money. And so he takes the money and he leaves home and loses everything. Broke and humiliated, he decides to return, but he is not asking to be restored or even forgiven. He is simply he's begging essentially for a job. And so he starts rehearsing this apology. And this is in verses 18 through 19. It says, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. And you know what? The scriptures don't even say what the father's response to his son is. We don't get to read his reply. All we read are his actions. I want to read it to you in verse 20. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. And he ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. He calls his servants and he tells them, bring the best robe and the family ring and make a feast. Yes, the son returns with repentance, but I want you to pay attention to the father because the father meets him with restoration. If you are parenting a teenager who's maybe pulled away emotionally or spiritually or maybe even physically, maybe they're saying, I don't even want to live here anymore. This story reminds us that reconciliation includes our ability to wait well. It means while God is working things out in your kid, make sure your heart is soft enough for God to keep working things out in you. May the first actions your kid sees always be you welcoming them home. Verse 32 concludes the parable with the father talking to his son who always stayed. And he says this to him: we had to celebrate and be glad because the brother of yours was dead and he's alive again. He was lost and now is found. This is what it means to be a parent, to love our kids as Christ loves us, to restore them back to the family unit. Every time we do this, we are literally becoming a picture of Christ himself. That's it for today's episode. Actually, that's it for our whole parenting series, isn't it, Haley?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you guys requested that one. So if you have something in the future that you want us to do as a series, send Haley a DM, send her an email. But you can join us next week because what's happening next week? What's the new series? Are we doing a series or is it just a one-off episode?
Yeah, so next week we're jumping into a brand new series
Okay.
on leadership. We're going to be sitting down with Tony Miltenberg and we're talking about leading from our wounds.
Ooh.
Yes. You can send me your submission if you want us to discuss whatever experience you are questioning on the podcast. Email me at whatifimwrongpod@gmail.com.
I am really excited for you guys to meet Tony. I have met with him a few times and he is just fantastic. He is so, so good. I know it's going to be such a good conversation. I'm Heather Thompson Day and I'll see you next week.